And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, and as always, it's great to have you guys here on this Monday. We got a lot to talk about on the show today, but before I get into that, I just want to remind you guys to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, that really helps the show. It makes the show more interactive between, of course, myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. And make sure, once again, to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker on the bottom of the show segment below. So let's get into what we're going to talk about on the show today. So starting off the show, we're going to talk about the latest injuries in the NFL because yesterday there was a ton of them, and we'll get into that. Again, just another week of watching star players get hurt. This year really has been brutal when it comes to injuries. So we'll get into that. In the second part of the show, we're going to recap all the games from yesterday. So that'll be the second part of the show. The third part of the show, we'll look at the updated draft order. A mock draft that my friends and I were talking about in our sports group chat on tankathon.com. So we'll go through that. And then we will preview tonight's Super Bowl rematch between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs, which has the potential to be the game of the year. So that'll be the final part of the show, which I am really excited for that game. Those two teams brought us a great Super Bowl, and hopefully they bring us a great Week 11 conclusion. So let's get right into the first part of the show, which is talking about the latest injuries in the NFL. And, yeah, there was a lot of them. So I'm on the NFL mobile app. So I'll go, team by team and talk about it. So the Cardinals, they had a couple of injuries. Kaiser White did not return with an elbow injury. Defensive lineman Leki Fotu was ruled out. So we go to the Bills after that. They had a lot of guys go out in the secondary. Dane Jackson was ruled out against the Jets after being evaluated for a head injury. Taron Johnson and Taylor Rapp, more guys in the secondary. They got hurt in these games. They were both ruled out. Taron Johnson got a concussion, and Taylor Rapp got a neck injury, and he had to get taken off in an ambulance. But Sean McDermott told reporters that Rapp was at home, so that's good news. And there was movement as they were putting him into the ambulance. But again, I mean, the Bills just can't catch a break with these injuries. You had Damian Harris, on Sunday night against the Giants, have to get put into an ambulance. I mean, it's just, and of course what happened with DeMar Hamlin last year. I mean, it's unbelievable that this keeps happening to this team. And again, it's more guys on the defense that are getting hurt. But it's good news that Rapp is at home because that was a scary injury. And again, it's how guys are tackling other players. I mean, that's what's leading to these injuries. So I don't know what has to change there. I mean, the technique, of course, but it's unfortunate when you see this happen. But yeah, I mean, more guys on the Bills defense getting hurt. But the Bills did win, of course, yesterday. So at least that was good. But again, the defense just continues to suffer injuries, which is not good if this team wants to make a second half run to the playoffs. The Bears had a couple of injuries. Lucas Patrick, he didn't return versus the Lions. Back injury. Deontay Foreman suffered an ankle injury. He didn't return to the game yesterday. Bears actually were winning that game against the Lions, and we'll get into that. But then they ended up, giving back the lead to the Lions, and the Lions came back and won. The Packers, Aaron Jones looked like he had a significant knee injury, but Matt LaFleur said it doesn't look like it's going to be a long-term injury, so that's good news for the Packers. Um, but yeah, that wasn't good. Also, their third-string running back, Emmanuel Wilson, he was ruled out with a shoulder injury. Wilson said he dislocated his shoulder, but that he'll be all right. Devondre Campbell, their linebacker, he didn't return. He had a stinger. So, and the Lions and the Packers play on Thanksgiving, so it's a quick turnaround. So it looks like the Packers are going to be down to, I guess, just A.J. Dillon as one of their running backs. But yeah, that's not good. And also Devondre Campbell, I mean, he's missed some time this year, so that's not good getting him back, and now he's hurt again. Marcus Epps was ruled out with an injury against the Dolphins for the Raiders. Raiders actually kept that game close, but they ended up losing that game. Joey Bosa was another big injury. Suffered a foot injury. He got carted off, and he was in tears as he was put on the cart. So his season's pretty much over, and that's just another devastating injury. And it's for a Chargers defense that already has been struggling this year. And now you just lost one of your best players on defense, if not your best player. Because they have Khalil Mack, they got Derwin James on that defense, but now you lose Joey Bosa, and that just makes the defense even worse. So hopefully, he's able to bounce back from this injury and come back next year healthy. Because I guess I don't know what the update is with that. I guess we'll find out today. But again, just another devastating blow. When it comes to injuries. And then for the Rams, you had Cooper Kupp suffer an ankle injury on Sunday, and he was ruled out in the second half. Sean McVay said Kupp was trying to return to the game, but his ankle just didn't feel right. So, and it got rolled up on. He did go into the locker room, but then he came back out and he was trying to jog it off on the sideline. But he didn't come back into the game. And it's kind of been a rough year for Cooper Kupp. Obviously he missed the first 5 games of the season. Hasn't really been a factor on the Rams offense. This year. His first 2 games back, he was good, but between Stafford getting hurt, that just he hasn't really done much since he's come back from injury, and now he's hurt again. So it's been a rough year for Cooper Kupp, because people forget how good he was, and now he's hurt again, and we'll see what happens. But it's just unfortunate that had to happen. Also, Devon Achane, he made his return yesterday for the Dolphins, and he ended up his knee ended up acting up again, so they took him out. But they did say it was for precautionary reasons. So I guess he's gonna be okay, but that's just unfortunate for the Dolphins, because you just get him back to help out in the running game, and then he gets hurt again. So that's we'll have to see what happens moving forward. Also another big injury, Talona Ufanga of the 49ers most likely tore his ACL, their safety, so that's a big loss on the defensive side of the ball for the Niners. And for the Seahawks, and the 49ers play on Thanksgiving, Seahawks play them on Thanksgiving. Geno Smith bruised his tricep and back of his elbow during the game against the Rams. It was on the hit by the Rams. And he did get taken out of the game. Drew Lock played a little bit, then he got put back in on the final drive of the game. Got the Seahawks in field goal range, but they ultimately lost. Jason Myers missed the field goal. We'll see what happens on Thursday, because it could be Drew Lock starting against the 49ers, which, that's not good. And that's a big game, because right now the Seahawks are 1 game back in the division. But you got Drew Lock starting for the first time, in a while against the 49ers. I mean, that's not good for the Seahawks. Also, Kenneth Walker got hurt. So Zach Charbonnet had to take over for him. He suffered an oblique strain. and he couldn't move hardly. Pete Carroll said, so that's not good. Again, a quick turnaround. They play on Thursday, so that's not good for the Seahawks. And for the Bucks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you had Levante David, Carlton Davis, and Jamel Dean were all ruled out against the 49ers. So yeah, that was not good. You had the Jets who actually benched Zach Wilson. Mekhi Becton was ruled out with an ankle injury, so that's not good on the offensive line. But we'll talk about it. But yeah, the Jets finally did it. They benched Zach Wilson. The Giants, Darius Slayton got ruled out of their game. They actually won yesterday with an arm injury. But yeah, that's all the major injuries. But yeah, it was a ton of them, and that's it's unfortunate. It just is that this continues to happen. Also, another major injury, and that's on the college football front. Florida State quarterback Jordan Travis got carted off the field with a leg injury. He did take a video from his hospital bed and said that he's fine. He's doing better. But it was a pretty gruesome injury. I haven't seen the video of it, but it was it wasn't good. And Florida State is now 11-0 on the season. And they were actually losing their game at one point when he got hurt. So they did bring in another quarterback to replace him, and I think they won like 58-13. So they outscored them like the rest of the way. But yeah, in the beginning it wasn't looking good. But they they ended up getting the win, and that kind of changes things a little bit, obviously, because now you're without your starting quarterback. Trying to find the score on CBS. So they ended up winning 58-13. It ended up being a Tate Rodemaker. He went 13 of 23 for 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And yeah, it was 13-0 after the first quarter. They were playing North Alabama, who's 3-8, and yeah, they outscored them 58-0 in the final 3 quarters of the game, to improve to 11-0. But and yeah, the spread in that game was 47.5. And yeah, I mean that just goes to, that shows you how different college spreads are to the NFL, because you would never see that in an NFL game. 47.5. That's just wild. But yeah, that's college spreads for you. And Florida State ran the ball for 248 yards. But yeah, they picked up the win despite their quarterback getting hurt. I don't think there's any updates as of right now. But yeah, you just don't want to see that, of course. But yeah, there was just a ton of injuries, of course. Like I said, they're going to continue to happen, and people are going to continue to have the argument of, oh, well, grass, turf, grass, they changed it to natural grass instead of turf. That's what I meant to say. I said grass, turf. But, Joey Bosa got hurt on a grass field, kind of hurts the argument. But I don't know what it is. I really don't. It's devastating that these injuries just continue to occur, but they will continue. So with that, we are going to take our first break of the show now, and then when we come back, we will recap all the games from yesterday, and that'll be the second part of the show when we come back. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.